why don't you use your hand? I said, I'm about ready to divorce my hand. Tired of it.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello everybody. Harvey Talks Prison. Here's a friend of mine in prison, Kevin. A lot of you guys have heard me talk about him. Wanted me to tell, or said I should tell the story about the psychiatrist, the shrink, prison shrink. This was in Farmington in the 90s. And I told the story where we had a bunch of, there's a wing, it's got 50 people in it, 2 to a cell. So there's 25 cells. And I snapped on a bunch of people. I mean, there was only like 3 people in there, solid people in there. I snapped on a bunch of them one night. I told the story. The next day I get called to the caseworker's office. Caseworker's there, sergeant is there. And I had 17 snitch kites written on me. I'm surprised there wasn't more. But anyway, they ended up moving me and my cellie to another wing. And it was a better wing. I mean, it had more solid people in there, you know. But about a year later, I should back up a second and say that the psychiatrist they had was a guy and he had quit or something. But I didn't know anything about that. I didn't care about that. About a year later, I get called to see the psychiatrist, the shrink as we call him. So I'll go down there and it's a woman, and I walk in and she's on the phone. I think she's talking to her boyfriend or husband or something. I don't know. The way she ended it wasn't with, you know, see you later honey or anything like that. She ended up kind of professionally, but you could pick up in the conversation that they had a relationship. Anyway, she gets off the phone and apologizes for the wait. And she tells me that the sergeant I was telling you about wanted me to see her because that I was a good guy, but that I had something was going on because I snapped on everybody. I said that was a year ago. There's no longer a problem, you know, and he took care of it, you know, got me out of that situation. And so I get up to leave, and she says, "You sure you don't want to talk?" And I said, "I'm positive. You know, I don't like seeing those people anyway. They think they know more about you than you do." Anyway, she keeps on. She goes, "You sure you don't want to talk?" Finally, I thought I would get rid of her by saying something kind of offensive, and maybe uncomfortable for her. I said, "Yeah, I've been locked up quite a while. Been in prison quite a while. I'm missing a woman." It's funny now, but I was mad at the time. She says, "Why don't you use your hand?" I said, I'm about ready to divorce my hand. Tired of it. And she kind of laughs, and chuckles a little bit. I'm not laughing. I'm mad. And so I start to leave again, and she says, "Oh, hold on, man. It seems like you have a lot of frustration and anger." I said, "I'm kind of aggravated because I don't want to be here, you know. I'm kind of mad, you know. And you keep wanting to talk to me. I'm not wanting to talk." And she says, "Well, is there anything that stresses you out about prison?" Oh my gosh. I said, "Lady, you do know that prison is a stressful environment in itself. You know, just being in prison is stressful. You have to deal with all this stuff." I said, we're done, you know. And she says, what prison did you come from? I said, I came from MSP. She goes, they sent you down here, you know, this is what you wanted? I said, well, I didn't know this prison was going to be like that. I didn't know it was going to be like it is. I said, they dropped my level to 4, and they said, asked me what prison I wanted to go to. So I said Farmington. That's about the closest, at the time, that's about the closest level 4 to my home, even though it's still quite a ways away. And I said, I get down here, camp soft, you know. And I said, plus on the other side, they got those with messed up charges running around like they own a place. I said, they got their own yard. It was like 2 prisons split in one. They had their own. The other side was all the people that had those messed up cases against children and women and stuff. They had to go through a program and stuff. We call them MOSOPers. Missouri, you know what the S stands for. S and the O stands for, and the P is program. So you call people that. Anyway, we hear kind of a chuckle, you know. Because I'd started leaving, I'd open the door, and when she keeps talking, I kind of left it cracked, and there's a guard standing outside in case she needs help. And she goes over there and looks, and he said, I'm sorry. And he said, I couldn't help it. Here, you know, you guys are getting kind of loud in there, and I kind of overheard the conversation. So she closed the door. I said, I'm done. You know, you can open the door back up. I'm leaving. So she says, okay, but if you have any problems, you want to talk, just come and see me. I walked out the door, and the CEO says, hey. He goes, I heard you came from MSP. And I said, yeah. He goes, man, I don't like this place either, man. This place, he said, the COs here, they don't know how to be correctional officers. The inmates, using his word, the inmates are just that, inmates. They're not convicts. And I said, yeah, I agree. Years later, when I was about to get out, I got sent back to Farmington, and I was put in the drum building. They called it the drum building, or 30 house, to do laundry for these different hospitals around the prison, you know, in the area. I go to the chow hall, and it's completely different than the way it used to be. They had a CO, they called him the milk Nazi, because he was guarding the milk. He only let you get 1 cup. You went in and you couldn't sit where you wanted to. You had to, one table was filled up, and then everybody filled up the next table. So if you wanted to sit with somebody, you had to make sure you all was in a little group, you know. And so one day I was leaving, man, the chow hall, and that CO, I didn't even recognize him because, you know, it's been years later. He goes, hey, come here a minute. I walked over there. He goes, are you Mr. Seidel? And he looks at my ID, and I said, yeah. He goes, remember when you had to see that shrink? I said, yeah, I remember that. I said, was that you standing outside the door? He goes, yeah. He goes, man, he goes, she was not wanting to let you leave. He goes, and I'm sorry. He goes, I was finding it funny. Well, I find it kind of funny now, but at the time I didn't. I went back and told Kevin, my cellie, and my partner, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed. And he's the one that the other night when he called, he said, man, you should tell that story, man. He goes, I find it hilarious. It's funny now, but it's not as funny as Kevin laughed. He laughed until he cried. He said he wished he could have been there. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you next time.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are